What is going on, people? It is your host, Jack, here with episode 2 of Jarn's Recreational Sports Talk. We're going to jump right into it. We already covered the Saturday's NFL divisional matchups. We are now going to be covering Sunday. We have the Rams versus the Eagles playing in Philadelphia, Sunday at 3 p.m. Weather conditions are expected to be extremely fucking cold. BetMGM Sportsbook has the Eagles at -6.5 with 50% of the public riding. Rams +6. We have Eagles moneyline at -275, 68% of the public riding, and Rams moneyline at +225 with the remaining 32% of the public. I feel like it's a lot of public riding with the Rams to win overall. The over-under is set at 43.5 with 61% of the public betting on the over. Some interesting stat lines that I found was that 93% of the public is betting under 21 total points in the first half, and 88% of the public is riding with the over 7.5 total points in the first quarter. The Eagles are 9-1 against the Rams in their last 10 matchups, and the last meeting was November 24th. The Eagles won 37-20. Saquon Barkley had an absolute monster game, 225 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Jalen Hurts, 39 rushing yards. A.J. Brown, 109 receiving yards and a touchdown. A.J. Brown is averaging 92 yards per game in the last 3 games against the Rams, and Jalen Hurts is averaging 160 passing yards in the last 3 games against the Rams and 37 rushing yards per game. Kyren Williams rushed for 72 yards and a rushing touchdown. Puka Nacua had 9 catches for 117 yards, while Kupp only had 60 yards and a touchdown. Matthew Stafford threw for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns. Matthew Stafford is averaging 235 passing yards and averaging 2 touchdowns per game in his career against the Eagles. Kyren Williams averages 62.5 rushing yards in 2 games versus the Eagles. Cooper Kupp is averaging 94 yards per game in 4 games against the Eagles, and Puka Nacua is averaging 94 yards per game in 2 games against the Eagles. As an Eagles fan, I am scared for this game regardless of their record 9-1. The Rams started the season 1-4. They were the last in their division. Since they started 1-4, they had 9 wins, 2 losses. One of those losses was the last game of the season where they benched a majority of their starters. My picks for this game, I would love to see the Eagles win this game, but with how good the Rams are playing, I really like the Rams spread at +7 or +9. The Rams haven't played too many teams as elite as the Eagles, but if they can stop the run game and beat Jalen at the line of scrimmage, I think they have a really good chance of keeping this game close. I will also be taking A.J. Brown over 69 yards with his averages in the past and with his frustrations in the last game that he had. I also do like Cooper Kupp over 35 receiving yards. Keep in mind it is going to be snowing. However, I do think 35 is super low for Kupp. He could have that in 1 catch. Getting into our next matchup is the Ravens Sunday at 6:30 at night. Again, we are going to be seeing extremely freezing temperatures and even more snow than we're going to be seeing in Philadelphia. At BetMGM Sportsbook, the Ravens are -1, Bills are +1. 56% of the public is riding with the Ravens -1, while the other 44% of the public is riding with the Bills +1. I have the Bills moneyline +100, Ravens moneyline -120. It's interesting that the majority of the public is riding with the Ravens -1. However, 52% of the public is riding with the Bills moneyline +100. The over-under is set at 51.5, even 50% over-under. 51.5 seems like a lot. Some interesting lines that I noticed was that 98% of the public is riding on the under 24.5 first half points. Over 80% of the public is on the Ravens to win the first half. The last matchup between the two teams was September 24th of this past season. The Ravens won 35-10. The Ravens defense was absolutely dominant in this game. Josh Allen was held to 180 passing yards. James Cook was held to 39 rushing yards, and Khalil Shakur was held to 62 receiving yards. Not a good game for the Bills. In that matchup, Lamar Jackson had 156 passing yards with 2 passing touchdowns and 54 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. Lamar Jackson went off that game. Another person that went off that game, Derrick Henry, had 199 rushing yards with 1 rushing touchdown and 1 receiving touchdown. An interesting stat for this game, I could understand the Bills were getting their asses spanked. The Ravens were utilizing Justice Hill. Even though he is a rusher, He had 78 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. I thought that was very interesting. So we're definitely have to keep an eye out for Justice Hill if the Bills are doing a good job backing up Derrick Henry at the line of scrimmage. The Bills are 2-2 in their last 4 games against the Ravens. However, the Bills are 2-1 at home against the Ravens. Unfortunately, that stat line dates back to 2007, with their most recent game in 2019 being a Bills loss. Josh Allen is only averaging 153 passing yards per game in his career against the Ravens and averaging 31 rushing yards. Lamar Jackson is averaging 148 passing yards against the Bills in the last 3 matchups. In those last 3 matchups, he is averaging 3 touchdowns per game, which is ridiculous. He is also averaging 51 rushing yards per game against the Bills in his career. Derrick Henry is averaging 93 yards per game against the Bills in his career and over 1 touchdown per game. Let's keep in mind also that all of these games that Derrick Henry averaged 93 yards per game against the Bills were in September and October. We are now in January. Temperature is below freezing and there's going to be a ton of snow, so this may affect his average going into Sunday. My picks for this game, the public is really split between this one. This is the first time ever that the Bills are the underdog in a playoff game at home. I am riding with the Bills plus 100 money line. I think you could take either team +7 spread and do pretty well. I don't think it's going to be that big of a blowout considering the weather and how good these teams are. Another player prop that I like for this game is going to be Derrick Henry anytime touchdown scorer at -210. He is the most favored to score a touchdown. However, he has scored a touchdown in all of his games against the Bills except for one, which is his first career game against the Bills. All right, people, that is it for Jarn's Recreational Sports Talk episode 2. That was a dive into the Sunday divisional matchups. Rams at Eagles, Ravens at Bills. Both games are going to be freezing cold. Both games should involve some snow. Should be a good one. Once again, thank you guys for watching. I'm going to try and do a lot of these videos. I want to start getting into some NBA. I can't wait to start talking about the MLB and baseball and the Dodgers. It's going to be a great season. I'm excited. I'm excited for the Eagles. I'm excited to talk about more sports, more teams. Thank you so much. Cheers.